I'm Neil Cardwell.
I'm Garrett Vicara.
And I'm Alexander Anderson.
And we are doing Japanese Imperialism. Japan was challenged by Western imperial powers. But, however, they did not want to become part of that, so they remained isolated from the rest. Here's Japan. Now, the only time they were not isolated was in an area called Nagasaki. This had limited trade with the Dutch, and the Japanese learned much of Western culture. The Europeans tried to visit Japan, but failed. In 1853, the U.S. wanted their whaling ships in the Pacific to be able to restock after crossing the vast ocean. Commodore Matthew Calbraith Perry led 4 ships to Edo Bay near Tokyo. Tiny Japanese boats surrounded them, trying to stop them. However, they failed at their attempts. When Perry arrived at Japan, he delivered a letter from U.S. President Millard Fillmore. This letter asked for the treatment of U.S. shipwrecked sailors, the sale of supplies to ships in need, and trade between Japan and the U.S. Perry told Japan that he would come back in 1 year and see the Emperor on his decision. The Emperor discussed this with his officials and debated whether to agree or to risk the attack of the United States. Perry returned with 9 ships in 1854. Japan agreed to his demands, but it was by a superior power, not by their own choice, which means this was imperialism in Japan. Treaty of Kanagawa. Perry and the representatives of the empire signed the Treaty of Kanagawa on March 31, 1854. This treaty opened 2 ports to American trading ships in Japan. It also promised better treatment of American sailors. This also sent an American consul to work in Japan. This was a government official responsible for commercial interests that takes care of the functions such as issuing passports and other things. Great Britain, Russia, Netherlands also granted similar rights. Westerners in Japan were not subject to Japanese laws because of this.
Restoring power to Japan. A feudal system was replaced by a centralized imperial government. Japan gained a constitution and elected representatives. The return of the emperor. The confidence of Japanese leaders was destroyed by foreign power. In 1867, Japan restored the emperor to full power. Emperor Matsuhito, aged 16, took the name Meiji, which means enlightened ruler. He signed the charter oath with 5 changes that returned the past traditions. Government changes under Emperor Meiji. Feudal lords gave up their land and became governors. Daimyo were retired and given government pensions. Samurais lost their jobs and an army was created. In 1889, a constitution was announced. It provided for a legislature with the upper house and the lower house. The upper house, or the House of Peers, was made up of the imperial family and nobles. The lower house was men that could vote. And the emperor didn't give up much power under the constitution. The emperor could declare war and disband the upper and lower house. In school, students were told to worship the imperial line, which is the series of rulers within Japan. The emperor did this to make sure that the students would be loyal to their nation. Industrialization under Emperor Meiji. The government operated iron furnaces, built ships, weapons, and railroads. The government also mined coal, expanded silk and cotton. Social changes under Emperor Meiji. Emperor Meiji eliminated class distinctions and outcasts. Discriminations of outcasts continued. The Meiji government also encouraged education and especially science.
Japanese foreign policy. As Japan industrialized, the need for raw materials increased. Japan became dependent on other countries for materials and markets for products. Japanese imperialism. Japan looked for areas to expand. In 1879, they took the Ryukyu Islands. Their next target was Korea, which had been under Chinese control. In 1894, the Somi-Japanese War broke out. The Japanese modern army defeated the Chinese army/navy. A treaty ended the war and gave Korea independence and gave Japan Taiwan.